What's up, everybody? Kyle Barboza here, bass player, music educator, and we're back in today with Major Scales Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1 yet, or especially if you're a beginner to major scales on the bass and you want to learn how to learn the finger pattern to find any major scale and be able to spell any major scale on your bass, go ahead and click on Part 1. I've got the link in the description. But if you're an intermediate, advanced player and you're looking to take your major scales to the next level, in specific, the level that will open you up to the rest of music theory on the bass, this is the video for that. So, hope you came hungry. There's a lot to this one, so let's get it. This video is divided up into 3 parts. The first part is what you need to know. The second part is what you need to be able to play. And the third part is going to be what you need to be able to hear in order to really say that you've learned your major scales fully, okay? So here we go. We're going to start with the circle of fourths and fifths. Now, this is probably the most common way that people memorize their order of major scales. From C major, which has 0 sharps and 0 flats. Counterclockwise on this circle, you can see that it goes through each key in the flats, starting with 1 flat, F, and moving all the way counterclockwise until it gets to 7 flats, which is C flat major. And then clockwise from C in the circle of fifths, we go through the order of keys with sharps. So G major with 1 sharp all the way through C sharp major with 7 sharps. And you can see as a feature of this circle, you can see the scales that are flat and sharp that kind of overlap, and that's because they're the same pitch but a different spelling. And it's called the circle of fourths and the circle of fifths because if you go counterclockwise through the flat keys, it's moving in an interval of ascending fourths. And clockwise through the sharp keys, it's moving in the interval of ascending fifths. I've got a video on the circle of fourths and fifths and how to memorize it using the bass and using the fretboard. You can check that one out. I'll put that one in the description too. But I'm actually going to skip the circle of fourths and fifths for now. I mean, if you want to learn it this way, that's perfectly fine. A lot of people find that a good way to memorize your order of keys. For me, I like to split the keys into flats by themselves and sharp keys by themselves and learn it that way. Okay, so let's take a look at that. All right, here's all of your flat keys. All right, like I said, from F major, which has flat, one flat, all the way to C flat major that has 7 flats. In other words, every note in that key, C flat major, is flat. Right? So this is just something you got to memorize. All right, the order is F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat, and you want to be able to recite it that quickly. And when you recite it, as a rule of thumb, make sure that you're saying B flat and not just B, or E flat, not just E. Don't say B, E, A, D, G, C. That's going to confuse you in the long run, so make sure you say the note as it actually is, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, right? Okay, so you just got to memorize those 7. I don't care if you use a mnemonic, like some type of sentence you learn. A lot of people use some mnemonic that's like 5 baloney, elephant, app. I don't know. I have no idea. For me, it was easy just to remember it was F major, and then it's the word bead, B-E-A-D, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. And then guitar center, G flat, C flat. All right? That's how I memorized it. However you do it, it's up to you. Okay? Above, though, really important thing is above here is the order of flats. And this is the order that the flats appear in the keys, okay, in each major scale. For example, in F major, which has 1 flat, that 1 flat is going to be B flat because it's the first flat in the order of flats. All right? Likewise, in B flat major, there are 2 flats. Those 2 flats are B flat and E flat. E flat major would continue the pattern. It's got 3 flats in it, B flat, E flat, and A flat. So that's how the flats appear in the keys, and you got to memorize that order of flats. Okay? That one is the same. It's almost the same as the flat keys, as the flat scales, right? but you just take F off one end and put it on the other end. So it's B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat, and F flat. Okay, that's your order of flats. All right. So this is, like I said, this is all brute memorization. Okay, but let's quickly go to the sharp keys. There are 7 sharp keys you got to memorize. All right, the order of the sharp keys is G major, D major, A major, E major, B major, F sharp major, and C sharp major. All right, however you remember that, it's all memorization. And above, here's the order of sharps as they appear in those sharp keys. All right, so in order to learn this the best, I would do what's called a multimodal approach. All right, this is probably something you did in science class when you took notes or whatever in high school, middle school, whatever. This will be familiar to you. Basically, it's learning something from multiple angles. How I would memorize these is I would take your flat keys, for example, be able to say them in order, so practice saying them out loud, then write them down, and then play them on your bass. All right? And then go back and spell the notes in the flat keys, right? F major, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, and then back down backwards, F, E, D, C, B flat, A, G, F. Then play it on your bass and check it. Then write it down, write it out by hand. That's what you got to memorize. You got to be able to spell any key on command. You got to be able to know how many flats or how many sharps are in any key. And you got to know what those flats and sharps are. Right. The last thing that you want to know, and this is probably the most important thing, is how scale degrees work. This is the part that's really going to expand into all kinds of other parts of music theory. Chord changes, melodies, harmonies, arpeggios, all this stuff. So here we go. This is what a scale degree is. It's when you line up your scale, right? Let's write out, here's C major, all right? I'm going to give a number to each consecutive note in C major. These are called scale degrees. C would be the 1 or the root, okay? We use both of those terms, the root or the 1, or sometimes you'll hear people call it the tonic, all right? So that's the 1, and then each note gets a number after that. D is the 2 or the second. Okay, we use those terms synonymously. So the second means it's the second scale degree, or the 2. G is the 3rd, or the 3, and so on. F is the 4th, G is the 5th, and so on and so forth. Okay? And there are 7 scale degrees in every major scale. Now, let's take a key like G major. The 7th scale degree of G major is F sharp. And even though it's F sharp, we don't call it the sharp 7 of G major. That's just the 7th scale degree of G major. It can be a sharp or a flat. If it's in the key, it's just a regular number. So what you want to memorize after you learn all of your scales, you want to be able to call out whatever scale degree in any scale that you need to. For example, what's the 3rd in E major? G sharp. What's the 7th in E major? D sharp. You want to be able to refer to that really quick. And again, learn it multimodally. Recite it and use your bass. Using your bass on this is going to be great because when you're in that finger pattern that we talked about in the last video, the 2-4, 1-2-4, 1-3-4, you'll start to recognize where those scale degrees are in that pattern and what finger you use for each one, and you'll be able to visualize your fretboard in your head. It'll just make you remember it quicker. All right, we're back. We got the bass ready. Let's talk about how to practice playing these scales. All right, and got a couple different exercises that I want you to work on to really start opening up the fretboard to these scales and these keys. That's the whole point of this, okay? So first thing we're going to do is start with some 2-octave major scales, meaning, and we're going to take B flat major to start with, okay? B flat major, of course, has 2 flats, B flat and E flat. And we're going to play that scale. We're going to start from this B flat here on the A string, and we're going to play it 2 octaves all the way to this B flat up here on the G string, okay? And there are many different avenues you can take on the fretboard to get from here to there. Different fingerings. I want you to try working out. Start with just working out one specific one. If you want to plan it out, that's fine. All right? Use all three, A string, D string, and G string. And, well, you kind of have to. I don't know if, yeah, I have to anyway. So going to use all three of those strings. And just make sure that when you're shifting your hand position, that you're using at least 2 notes per position. So don't shift your hand after 1 note, okay? At least 2 notes, 3 if you can, all right? This is what I call a vertical exercise on the fretboard, meaning that we're playing mostly going up from the bottom of the fretboard to the top, okay, as opposed to a horizontal exercise, which we'll get into, that goes more across the fretboard as much as possible. This one's moving vertically quite a bit, okay? And you need to be able to do both on these scales in order to really open up the fretboard. Okay, so here we go. Here's an example of a 2-octave B-flat scale. Get my metronome going here. We'll go real slow, okay? 1, 2, 3. Shift strings here. Do one more position on this string. And then finish on the G string here. And then back down. Trying to make my shifts nice and low and crisp and accurate. Okay. Cool. All right. So we're going to practice those scales and start slow. Start real slow if you have to. Right? Remember, PSAP, painfully slow and precise. That's the way you got to be before you start increasing things. That's how you make gains on these scales. All right? I'll try another fretboard avenue. All right? We'll do that same scale again. I'll go a little faster just so I'm not taking too much time. But here's another example of a different fingering where I'll shift in a different spot. Okay? Here we go. Ready? Already on the D string. Shifted to the G. And here's a different one. Go to the A string here. Alright, now we're all the way down the A string. Alright, that's a 2-octave B-flat major scale. I can start it here on the E string if I want to too. Alright, and go up this way. Right? Okay, cool. That's the first exercise. How you use the metronome on that one is up to you. Whether or not you plan out your fingerings and your shifts ahead of time, that's up to you. Okay, when we play bass, we plan out fingerings and shifts for certain things, certain licks that we're learning and stuff like that. And then other times we got to be able to move on the fly on the bass. So you got to practice both. So it's fine to think of a good fingering for the first time through and then see if you can surprise yourself on the second time through. Again, PSAP, painfully slow and precise. Okay, be in the rhythm, be right with the metronome, and be crisp with it, and that's how you get better. Okay, so here's another exercise for your major scales. We'll stay in B flat, all right? And I actually saw this exercise the other day on Scott Devine's Scott's Bass Lessons channel. It's a great exercise. I mean, this is a really common one, and it's just a good one, so it's worth me repeating it. This is going to be more of a horizontal scale exercise, okay? In fact, it is all a horizontal scale exercise. We're going to go to the first position of the scale, starting on the root for this one. Okay, you don't have to start on the root. We actually could start on the lowest note in first position in B flat major, which is this F down here. But let's just start it with the root to be simple. Okay, we're going to play every note in the scale that's in that specific position. Okay, this first position. So I've got a B flat, I've got a C, I've got an open D, I've got the scale in 1 octave here in that first position. Okay, that's the first part of the exercise. So you play that in time with the metronome. Then we're going to move up to the second note. Okay, put your first finger on that second note so you're in position. And we're going to play that B flat major scale, everything you've got in that position. And at times in this exercise, so check it out. I'll start from C here and go up the scale. See how I'm kind of stuck here. I either got to shift, do a little micro shift here or a micro shift here. Do a little micro shift up on these. So check it out. Watch. C, D, E flat, F, G, and then jump to that A, and then jump to that B flat, and then go ahead and jump to that all the way up to this D here. So this position looks like this, watch. So you get a little bit of a micro shift there. It's a nice little technical exercise. Okay, and this is really useful when you're playing bass lines and things like this. And let's say the root note is C, and we're in the key of B flat, but the root note is C. You've got all this real estate here, all these notes to play in just that one position. Right? Okay, so this is really a great exercise for when you're playing bass lines, all right? All right, and so on and so forth. So we're going to move up to the third note on the A string. We're doing all the notes on the A string here, in this third position here, starting on D. All right, that's a pretty easy one. Remember, we're in the key of B flat, right? Those notes have to be in B flat, so make sure you're playing in the right key, all right? And then so on and so forth. We got a nice stretched position here on E flat. All right, get a little bit of a stretch. Some people like to, just a quick note on when you stretch your positions out beyond one finger per fret. Some people like to stretch ring finger to pinky. That's fine. Some people like to stretch second finger to pinky. Personally, I do both. I don't know. There's no pattern to it. I just kind of do what feels right in the moment. Yeah. So, okay, so that's a cool exercise for learning these scales. Every position going up the fingerboard. The last scale exercise is going to be a full fretboard exercise. We're in the key of B flat. We're going to start with the lowest note in the key that is on the bass, okay? And on this, it's F. Okay, that's the lowest note in the key of B flat that's on my bass. And I'm going to play from the lowest note in the key to the highest note in the key on my bass, which actually is this E flat here, okay? Then we're going to just come up with a fingering, improvise a fingering. Remember, 2 notes per position at least, 2 to 3 notes, okay? Here we go, check it out. Should be using the metronome here. Here we go, all the way back down. All right, it's a great exercise. It's using every note, every pitch that you have in this key on the bass. You're using every one. And again, there's multiple avenues up it. See if you can stay in one position for a while and then move up to the next string, shift your position. You got to just keep breaking new avenues on the bass, and it's going to open up your fingerboard so that you're not really, when you're playing a groove and, let's say playing a little Motown groove in B flat. You're not thinking about the fretboard too much when you're in the key. It's almost like the notes just kind of light up for you. All right, I know this has been a long one. I know it's been a heavy one, but this is the last leg here, and this is really important, maybe the most important part of this whole thing, okay? This is what you need to be able to hear with these major scales. And what I'm talking about is ear training. And what I'm specifically talking about is what we're going to practice singing. That's right. You heard me correctly. We will be doing some singing. If you don't sing often at this point, you're missing out on a lot of things. Here's why, and here's why it's so important. When you use your voice, which, by the way, was your first instrument, and by the way, you are an expert at using your voice because you've been speaking your whole life, all right? Even if you think you're tone deaf, this is what that actually indicates? It indicates that your audiation is how you hear things in your head. It indicates that you're not able to audiate things in your head accurately yet. Okay, this just takes practice. And man, I got to tell you, singing is really, really beneficial. So start doing it. And here's where we can start. We're going to start by just singing our scale up and down along with the bass. And what we're looking to do here is to just match each pitch as we play it. Okay? Just use your ears, try your best. If you're not precise at this point, I'm not looking for you to sound like Kurt Elling or Ella Fitzgerald. That's not the point. Okay? We're working these audiation muscles. So here we go. Let's stay in the key of B flat major. All right? Play up and down the scale once. Use your finger pattern. Okay? Play up and down at once. Listen to the notes. And so forth. Let me just get down it. Okay? Then sing to it. All right? And use, it's the most important part that I forgot. Use your scale degrees. Okay? Each note, call out the scale degree. People sing with solfege like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's great too. If you want to do that, that's fine. I think it's a little more beneficial in this context to use the scale degrees. All right, so here we go. 1, all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're really listening. Go really slow the first time. Go note by note. 1, play the note. 2, 2, 3. Okay, do that to start. Get yourself going. Listen, the point here is so that you start to be able to understand and audiate what you want to play, because everything that you come up with as a bass player should come from here more than it comes from here. And a lot of bass players, everything comes from here. And what ends up happening is you never really develop your own voice and you're not in full command of your instrument because you're just kind of using muscle memory to find your way around. Okay, it's kind of like the difference between walking around your house in the dark and turning the lights on. All right? You're not stumbling into things and whatever. You're in command of where you're going. You see where you're going. That's what audiation does. All right, cool. Rant over. Next exercise you're going to do after you do that is to sing up to each scale degree and back down to the tonic, okay, from that scale degree, and then sing the scale degree again and play it against the tonic. Okay, so that's a little complicated. Let me just show you and you'll get it right away. All right, so 1 to 2 to start, right? 1, 2, then go back to 1, and then sing 2 and play 1, 2. Okay, and hear those 2 notes against the tonic. All right, then go to 3. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3. You're going to start to hear the warmth of those harmonies, and you're going to start to audiate those pitches by themselves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5. Okay? Actually, I'm missing something. You should go back down to 1 and then sing it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 6. All right? Such a good exercise. You're going to start hearing the actual intervals. You're going to start hearing the harmonies. And you're going to start pinpointing each scale degree as it relates to the tonic. Because the tonic is like our home note when we play in a key. And we want to always be kind of tethered to that. All right? Awesome. The last exercise, for those of you who can get through those first 2 really accurately, is to start improvising using your scale degrees. All right, sing 3 to 4 notes that are just improvised in the scale, and then check it by playing it. All right, see how you did. So something like 1, 5, 3, 2, 1, 5, 6, 2. Okay? Do that for a little while. I'm telling you, some of y'all are going to sleep on this. Some of you are going to skip this part of the video. Don't wimp out on this, okay? This is so beneficial to your musicianship, to your bass playing. I'm telling you, when you've got good ears, that's when you start to really be able to find yourself as a player. Whew. All right, so that was a lot in this one. And on top of it, you're going to have to do those playing exercises and the ear training exercises in all 15 keys, which is a lot. But here's the thing. Once you get 3 or 4 keys down, you're going to start to see that those patterns on your fretboard, man, the bass is so beautiful for music theory because the fretboard has so many patterns to it. You're going to start seeing those fingerboard patterns snowball, and each key is going to get easier than the last. And the ear training, since we're using scale degrees, and since the relationships between those scale degrees are the same from key to key, you're going to start seeing that stuff snowball too. Your ear is going to really start developing. If you made it this far and you're actually going to do this practice, man, good on you. And I'm really excited for you because this is where your ear and your fretboard and your playing, your musicianship really start to open up. So good luck with it. And yeah, if you like what you hear and you're learning some things, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm just getting started here, and I'm really enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying it. I appreciate you watching the video. And, yeah, let's hit the shed. Let's get it. I'll see you on the next one.